Welcome to part 2. In this part we are going to look at the DISC model and we're going to take a deeper dive into each of the 4 quadrants. Let's begin. So it's based on 2 axes. So we've got left to right, we've got reserved, tend to ask and then listen, and then on the right we've got outgoing, likes to tell and talk, and then on the bottom to top we have got people and relationship focus, or we've got task and goal orientation. So up in the top right, we've got dominance. Main focus on here is about problems, solutions, likes quick decisions to be made. On the bottom, we have got influence. Top priority here is about people, relationships, likes to do a lot of talking and networking. On the bottom left, we've got steadiness. Main concern is about pace, flow and rhythm. And then on the top left, we've got compliance, which is all about policies, procedures, making sure jobs are done right, logical, and well thought out. I like to think about this like The Simpsons. If you think about Homer, he's the head of the household and the leader of the Simpson family. When Homer has an idea or hatches a scheme, the rest of the family generally follow. He is direct, quick to confrontation, and always speaks his mind. Homer has proven himself to be incredibly impulsive, as is sometimes the case with a high D. He is impatient and sometimes rushes to action before getting all the facts or thinking through the consequences. He quits his job frequently, gets into arguments with strangers, makes huge purchases before even thinking things through, and is generally the instigator of most of the family's wild adventures. Even Homer is the source of most of the family's problems. He is quick to come up with solutions to the chaos that he actually causes. Like many D styles, Homer is competitive and quick-tempered. He can be extremely tenacious when it's something he cares about, another classic D style. Homer hates to be taken advantage of and is often at the most angriest when he catches his children trying to trick him, disrespect him or fool him. So some of the styles: decisive and tough, strong-willing, competitive, demanding, independent, self-centered, moves fast and takes risks, goal-orientated, wants to get things done now, likes control and power. What you have to be careful of: under pressure, there's a lack of concern for others, and their biggest fear is the loss of control. So some possible limitations for a D. So overuse of their position, sets really high standards, lacks tact and diplomacy, takes on too much, too fast and too soon, and may not listen at all. So let's look at a high I style. Bart Simpson. He's fun-loving, energetic, and extrovert. Bart is a constant source of entertainment and frustration to the people around him. A self-diagnosed class clown, Bart always behaves like he's in the spotlight. He craves attention and will do anything to pull focus away from others and onto himself. Classic Tom Sawyer figure, Bart can be charming and extremely persuasive. He has no problem starting a conversation with someone he's never met, and uses his quick wit and influence to bend the people around him at his will. Though not focused enough to be a good student, he is clever and creative, also colourful. Bart also has a highly developed sense of humour and constantly jokes around with everybody. Though many of the pranks can verge on cruelty, it's clear he is driven by the need for attention. Because he loves to be the centre of attention, he is also at his most unhappiness when he feels excluded and overlooked. This is a common I style whose greatest fear is rejection. So sociable, talkative, enthusiastic, and like I said, you'll be able to hear high I style first before you can see them. Under pressure can look a little bit disorganized and fear of social rejection. So possible limitations of an I: inattention to detail, be unrealistic in appraising people, too trusting, situational listener, many friends, a lack of detail. Let's look at Marge. Marge is the heart and soul of the Simpson family. Loyal and fiercely devoted to her family, she's a perfect embodiment of the best characteristics of an S style. Steady, consistent, trustworthy, hardworking and nurturing. Like many S styles, Marge is an excellent negotiator. She keeps the peace in the house, mediating major conflicts between her children and her husband. Unlike her husband, she doesn't like to take risks. She prefers a more cautious approach and likes to stick to the rules. Marge is peaceful and agreeable and tends to avoid direct conflict unless it's absolutely necessary. She resists change, as evident by her overmothering of her children. She often treats her kids as being younger and more dependent than they actually are, likely due to her being uncomfortable with the idea of them growing up. She likes to be needed and wants the family to depend on her emotionally. S styles are also the most likely to stay in bad relationships for a long period of time, which certainly is the case between Homer and Marge. Despite Homer's many faults, she chooses to see the good in him and always forgives his many mistakes. Calm, steady, careful, patient, good listener, modest, trustworthy, laid back, shy and quiet. Under pressure, maybe a little bit too willing. And then fear is loss of stability. Possible limitations of an S. Avoids controversy, difficulty in establishing priorities, dislike of unwanted change, a difficulty dealing with diverse situations, and stubbornness. Finally, let's look at Lisa. In many ways, Lisa Simpson is the opposite of her brother Bart. As a C, she is introverted, cautious, and sensitive, very much a perfectionist. Lisa is crushed by anything other than an A in her schoolwork. She is organised, detail-orientated, and the first to ask questions in every situation. In other words, a classic C. The way that Lisa controls the chaos around her is by investigating, gathering information, and thoroughly exploring all the sides of the problem. She has great amounts of self-discipline, and her analytical mind makes her an excellent problem solver. At time anyone needs something researched, usually legal precedents to get them out of a jam, they turn to Lisa. Like many C styles, Lisa is shy and sensitive. She's happy spending time alone, practicing her saxophone, studying, or reading books. She hates to be criticised, and nothing makes her more unhappy than failing at a task, being caught doing something incorrectly. She puts a great deal of unnecessary pressure on herself to be perfect, as is often the case with a high I style. C style. So precise, follows the rules, logical and careful, formal, disciplined, analytical, needs data and information, matter of fact, does things correctly. So under pressure can be overcritical, and then major fear is criticism of their work. So possible limitations for a C: bit defensive when criticised, gets bogged down in details, be overly intense for situations, appear somewhat aloof and cool. But you have to remember, all people exhibit characteristics of all four quadrants in varying degrees and intensity. So by having a good understanding of all four, and like I said, you have a blend of all of them, you'll be able to communicate effectively in a more effective manner to your colleagues, teammates, even at home. I hope you found this useful. We're going to look at this in a little bit more detail in the session. I hope to see you soon.